Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another Picks and Mix, where we do pick and mix it all up. And it's mixing it up this week, which means we're going to look at a record producer. And all these record producers are actually your suggestions. These are none of mine. So today we're going to look at Terry Brown. Now Terry Brown, he's born in the UK, is involved in a variety of stuff, but he's been really known for the work that he did with Rush. Now Terry produced every album for the band from Fly By Night up to Signals, and people think that's all he ever did, but he has done other work as well. Before becoming he's not just a record producer, he's also an engineer, arranger. He did background harmony singing on Rush albums. So he's sort of been involved in the music business from the mid-60s. Now he started off as the engineer. He used to work with Jimi Hendrix on the Axis Bold as Love in '67. That was his first sort of involvement. In 1971 he was the engineer on the Stampeders album Against the Grain. He's worked with Mo Kaufman on Mo Kaufman Plays Back, The Four Seasons. He was the engineer on April Wine's Electric Jewels. So before he became out and out producer and engineer, he did a lot of other work. So it all starts in 1975 when he produced Rush's second album, Fly By Night. Great album. Of course, it's got the great tracks Fly By Night itself and By Tour and the Snow Dog are the highlights of that one. That's a really good thing. Also in 1975, this is when bands put out a ton of stuff in 1 year. Rush put out Careless of Steel, which of course has got the brilliant Bastille Day on it and the Fountain of Lament. 76, another Rush album, and it's the brilliant 2112. And of course it's got the brilliant 2112 on, and A Passage to Bangkok, the album that really put Rush on the world's stage, as they say. Apart from doing that brilliant album, he found time to work with an American rock group called, I think they're called Clatal, and he produced in '76 the 347 EST, which has got the original version of Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. Absolutely brilliant song, and of course the Carpenters did a fine version of it as well. Clatal are a very, very good group. If you've never heard them, I'm sure a lot of you have. Also in '76 he started working with a Canadian rock band from Toronto called Max Webster. Now I had to listen to their stuff because I thought it was a bloke, but it's a band, and they're pretty cool. So we will be doing some more on that because I think they need a bit of love because they sound really good. On the Max Webster album, that I've listened to it, and the tracks I really liked was Blowing Away the Blues and Coming of the Moon. Then he did in '77, back to doing some work with Clatal, and he was on the album Hope, which has got the great Madman and Around the Universe in 80 Days. Then he was back on Rush duties as well for A Farewell to Kings, Xanadu, Cygnus, Book One, The Voyage. Outstanding tracks off that album. Then that took us into 1978, where he produced the finest album that Rush ever put out, Hemispheres. Got Cygnus Book 2 on here, Hemispheres, and one of my favourite tracks by the band, La Villa Strangato, An Exercise in Self-Indulgence. Wonderful. '78 again, he sort of seems that he was going between Rush and Clattel, because he produced Sir Army Suit, which has got the wonderful Juicy Lucy and Mr. Manson on. '78 again, he went back and produced another Max Webster album, Mutiny Up My Sleeve. Tracks on there that I was quite impressed with was Lip Surface and The Party. Also then '79, Max Webster did a live album, and he went and produced the live Magnetic Air album. Had a quick listen to that. That's pretty cool. 1980, so we moved into a new decade. First up for him there was an album by a guy called BB Gabor, who's an Hungarian Canadian post-punk pop sort of sound. And a quick listen, wasn't my cup of tea. Also in 1980s, back on Rush duties now, and it's the brilliant Permanent Waves. Spirit of Radio and Natural Science just spring to mind when you think of that album. 1981. Moving Pictures with Rush. Well, Tom Sawyer and Witch Hunt. Awesome stuff. 1981 again, back with a live album from the Rush, and he produced Exit Stage Left, which is absolutely brilliant. He goes back onto Max Webster and their album Diamonds Diamonds. The title track is just outstanding. 1982, his last album with Rush. It's the brilliant Signals. Subdivisions is just awesome. And it's got the brilliant analog kid on that as well. 1982 then. He starts working with a guy called Lawrence Gowan. Now he's a Scottish-born Canadian singer. Not my sort of thing, but I did like the tracks on there. Keep Up the Fight and Victory. Moving swiftly, he took a bit of a break, and in 1986 he came and worked with Cutting Crew on their album Broadcast, which has got probably their most famous song on it, I Just Died in Your Arms. It's the only one that people really like, and I'm in that mind. But yeah, Terry Brown produced that single. It shouldn't take long, it's okay. Then in 1987, now this is a band that I discovered during my competition from the winner. Blue Rodeo, he mentioned one of their tracks on his tape, and I've been listening to them. They are really good. They're a Canadian country rock band, and this is from Terry did The Outskirts. Great tracks on there are Rebel and Try. Go and check them out. Then in 1987 or so, he started working with a Northern Ireland band called Silent Running, and the album Walk on Fire. Good track on there is a sort of punk sort of sound. Till Tomorrow Comes. And then in 1989 went and produced another prog band, IQ, and the album Are You Sitting Comfortably, which has got one of my favourite tracks on that by the band War Heroes. 89 again, he went and worked with Lizzie Borden on the Master of Disguise album. Sins of the Flesh and Psychodrama, two cool tracks. And then in 1989 he was quite busy. He went and did another album, and he did this with a band called The Fifth Angel, who were an American heavy metal time, and the album was called Time Will Tell. Little good tracks on there are Midnight Love and Angels of Mercy. Moving into a new decade now. And a band called Watertown. No singing at the dinner table. Didn't like it. Then he goes into some progressive metal, and he works with the brilliant Fates Warning on their Parallels album. Favourite track, The 11th Hour and The Road Goes On Forever. Then he goes, it was a year of metal for him, because he went and worked with Vivoid On Angel Rat, good album. Gollum and Panorama are two outstanding tracks. 1991, he works with a band called The Kite, and yes, couldn't find anything about them, so I can't tell you about them. Then he took a little bit of a break because he didn't do anything then till 2004, and he went and worked with an American progressive rock band called Tiles, and the album was Window Dressing, which is a great track. It's a good album. If you've never heard Tiles and you like prog, go and check them out. Then in 2005 he went and worked with Cutting Crew again and produced Grinning Souls. Not changed their sound. They're not a very big fan of this band. Hard On You's okay, and Boomerang, I don't mind them tracks. 2007, now he went and worked with an out band that I sort of discovered these by the Cuppet. By the Cuppet. Start again, Ian. By the cover. This cover's great, and they're called Puppet Show. American progressive rock, very 70s sounding, but with, you know, done in the 21st century. And he produced Tale of Woe. It's a brilliant album. Go and check that one out. The Seventh Gentle Spirits is brilliant, and Harold Kane is absolutely amazing. 2008, he goes and does another Tiles album, The Flypaper, another great album. It's got Landscape, Hide and Seek, and Capture the Flag. 2014, worked with a band called Blurred Vision. Now, they're described as a mashup of Depeche Mode meets Muse. Yeah, it's not the best album I've heard. It's just too busy. But I did like the track Long May You Run and Organised Insanity. 2016, he works with Tiles again and produces Pretending to Warn. Stonewall and Fate accompany the Tiles are a great band. I'm sure they will pop up some time on the channel. And then in 2021, last thing that he's done, Discipline, another American rock band, progressive rock band. The album's called The Unfolded Like Staircase, another good album. And Crutches and Into the Dream are the outstanding. So there you go, that's what Terry Brown did, not just Rush. I think the weirdest one he did was that Blurred Vision. I just couldn't get on with that. I mean, I like Depeche Mode and sort of the early Muse, but smushed together it just didn't sound right. So after listening to a few bits, I then decided to choose my top 5. Tough, because there's some really good albums in there. So I went like this in the end. So number 5 for me was 1989's Are You Sitting Comfortably from IQ, which has got some great tracks on it. War Heroes, it's good. Drive On, Nostalgia, Falling Apart at the Seams, Sold on You, Through My Fingers, Wernesh, which is absolutely amazing. Nothing at All, great album. And yes, they are being featured very, very shortly because someone requested IQ, and I'm near enough finished listening to them, so I'm not far off ranking them. Number 4 for me was Clattow's debut album, 347 EST, was released in 76. Of course, it's got the wonderful Calling Occupants. Fine song, probably the best song they ever did. California Jams is good. The one that I laugh when I say this is called Anus of Uranus. Yeah, great little track though. You got Sub Rosa Subway, which is cool. I like that one as well. True Life Hero, which is brilliant. Dr. Marvelo, Sir Boldsworth Rigsby III. What a great title, and it's quite a good thing. And then you got Little Neutrino. My third album is this album from 1997 from Discipline, Unfolded Like the Staircase. What a great band these are. New modern prog. Opens up with a track called Canto 4, which is 13 minutes of pure wonderful prog. Crutches, another long track. Into the Dream, 22 minutes. Before the Storm, another great track. absolutely wonderful. I only got into these by pure chance. I was reading an article about Terry Brown a little while ago, and I thought, wow, I'll have to listen to that, and I loved it. I love the picture. I love the cover. Number 2 for me is an album that I love the more I hear it. It's the Puppet Show's Tale of Woe from 2006. Again, it's just a wonderful new modern prog with that edge of the 70s, but using technology. Seasons is brilliant, and I mentioned the epic Seven Gentle Spirits, which is superb. Harold Kane is a lot of fun. The Past Has Just Begun, another brilliant epic. God's Angry Man, another good, and then another long track. This has got 3 really long tracks. I mean, Seasons is just over 8 minutes, and Second Thought. Brilliant album. Go and check it out. It is on Spotify. If you just want to go and have a listen to it, I do recommend that one. It's really good. But my number 1 album has to be my number 1 Rush album, and that's Hemispheres, of course. I just love this album. Opens up with a fantastic Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres. You just get lost. Some wonderful playing on here. The drumming of Neil is brilliant, especially the Armageddon, the Battle of Heart and Mind. Circumstances, a great little track. The Trees, I love that. And then La Villa Strangato. Oh, one of the best things they ever wrote. It's a great instrumental, full of great drumming and bass and Alex. That all 3 of them are having a ball. It's absolutely brilliant. And that's why it's my number 1 Terry Brown album and my number 1 Rush album. Wonderfully produced by Terry. He's a very good producer. Really gets the best out of people. Okay, well there we go. I've really enjoyed doing this one because I was listening to stuff that I'd never heard and discovered stuff. I knew some of the stuff he'd done, but I did discover some other stuff. So there we go. That's what it's all about. So that's all for this one. I think next week, are we back? Where are we next week? Okay. Well, this just confused me. Let's have a look at my list. I think it's a top 10 next week. Yes, it is a top 10. UK top 10 next week. Okay, that's all for today's shows. But don't forget tonight, 8 p.m. Getting this off to a T now. 8 p.m. British Summer Time, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's the live stream. Usual sort of thing. We're getting more people watching it through the week now. Over 300 people watched it last week. But we'd like to see more people coming in and watching it live. So if you're not doing anything, come and have a look. And you might even get up on the screen yourselves if you're that daring. So I will see you all later. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.